Everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Algorithm, the podcast. And today we've got something very different to our usual speed. Today we've got Isaac with us, and Isaac is going to blow your mind. I'm telling you, he stood on this stage and I watched now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. What is this guy talking
Mhm.
about? And then I went home and I started playing around with some tools. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, this guy's a genius. Let's get him on the podcast. So,
Mhm.
Isaac, welcome. Can you introduce yourself to everybody and tell us all about yourself?
Thank you, Don, for that stellar run-in. My name is Isaac Pattis. I work for Oxford University Press as an AI Incubation Manager with the ELT
Ooh.
division. Mm.
My gosh. Well, that sounds absolutely incredible. Isaac, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you were talking about the conference? Because I met you at the AIXEI event that was put on by Simon Balderson, who's actually going to be, did I pronounce his name wrong then? I hope I didn't. Simon, if you're out there and I did, I'm sorry. In this incredible event put on. Do you want to give us the highlights of what you were talking about during the event?
Sure, yeah, I took a personal passion and something that we've been experimenting with internally at OUP around local in-browser inference. So I kind of told the story at the event about how expensive and comparatively cumbersome working with AI was just a few years ago, where you
Mm,
were sending off queries to large monolithic server farms, and uh, you were paying quite a bit. There was quite a bit of latency, and then over time, that problem has slowly become faster, more nimble, much more context and more
mm,
conversation between AIs has been able to happen. People call that agentics, right? Uh, so that trend is continuing now, where the larger conversations with single endpoints, single machines is broken down into working with agents, and then it's slowly actually becoming into an on-device era where models are much smaller, much more performant, can be hosted on machines, consumer hardware in your school, in your organization, and then now it's even getting to the point where the models can be formatted well enough to be powered in your web browser
yeah.
with certain methods. So I was talking about and demoing that and thinking a bit more about what that unlocks. It allows models to be downloaded once and then run anywhere. So you might work in a school somewhere in the world where you have internet access at school, but not at home. Bang, you download that to your model on a good connect to your machine on a good connection at school, take it home, work with that model there. It's also private. All of your data stays on your machine. There's no contract to consider there where privacy or PII or anything is broached. It helps a lot there, and it controls costs.
Yeah.
You are not paying for the back and forth movement of tokens and whatnot. So you do shift the burden over to the hour of consumer hardware, but with time, machines are only getting better, more performant, quicker. So
Amazing.
I'm confident that there's going to be something there.
So, what we're going to do for our audience and me included is we're going to backtrack over what you said and we're going to pick out some of the key terminologies because
Mm.
AI is moving so quickly, and me included, not just a few weeks ago, I'm still like, oh, I'm using Chat Gemini and I'm a genius. And actually, you were throwing in some different words. You used the term agentic, and also
Mm.
I'm going to throw another word into the mix, the vibe coding. So, for our audience out there, can you explain what both of those are and what the difference is?
Yeah, to paint it as clearly as possible, I think it's worth saying that the two that stand next to each other are vibe coding and agentic engineering.
Hmm.
So agentic engineering is when you have some degree of familiarity or background in an engineering process,
Hmm.
and then you use agentic methods. So we can talk more about that word in a minute, but agentic methods are methods powered by the use of AI to speed up, to help you do more in a space you know well already.
Yeah.
Vibe coding is generally an equivalent of that, but and this is painting with a broad brush. Vibe coding generally means you do not have that engineering
Yeah.
founding, and you're coming at it and you're saying, build me a travel blog, bang, and
Yeah.
you're not specifying any frameworks, any languages, any technologies, anything like that. So they're roughly equivalent, but they're just kind of on a spectrum of relative experience. That's how I explain it. I'm sure somebody might pick that apart, but that's how I think about it.
No, I think you did a great job. And I'm kind of just getting into vibe coding now because I was inspired by the event, you and Simon, and you were talking about, sort of quite a lot of things. And I walked away and thought, I can do this. I mean, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that I'm not at your level, but I built a piece of software that allows schools to, within their own environment, monitor the use of the language model, whether it's Gemini or what have you, and analyze what type of questions are being asked. They get responses back, and there's certain questions that the AI won't answer, and it pings them back a Socratic question instead
Mhm.
because it knows it's trying to bypass the cognitive experience. So that goes alongside the assisted climb and our good friend Orby.
Mhm. Mhm.
You've
Mhm.
met
Mhm.
our Orby. So that kind of works alongside it. So I just want to thank you for that because you and
Mhm.
Simon were my inspiration to get kind of
Mhm.
started with that. Now, let's think a little bit then about accessibility, affordability, and security. Because when it comes down to it, whether you're a parent at home or you're a school, those are the three things that you're asking yourselves. What are
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
thoughts on this?
Yeah, so in the to bring it back to the focus of how we met, where I was talking about that local in-browser technology. That's one method. There are others where you could approach it, but the when you're thinking about privacy and security and whatnot, the big stumbling blocks there are you as a school or you as a parent need to trust who you are sending your data off to
Mm,
constantly. So the paradigm has been I send my data, my data over time over to somebody who I sign a contract with, and I just have to,
yes.
there's a lot of trust there.
Mm,
Um, some companies manage that trust better than others. Others have massive leaks. And then suddenly, your personal data is out there in the world. And we've all suffered from that,
yeah, of
of that
course.
from some degree or another. So the like the as this technology is becoming more local, that issue is becoming circumventable now to a degree. Not entirely, but suddenly it's becoming much less of a stumbling block. Mm.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that for schools and in particular, because we need to prepare younger students for the use of AI, but they can't use it until they're 13. And
Mm.
so there's a lot of kind of juxtapose happening in regards to how do we prepare them for this level of AI literacy, or
Mm.
whether it's,
Mm.
AI meta literacy. And so these kind of browser in-house pieces of
Mm.
software, that's the easiest way I can describe it for people out there, is absolutely so important. So what's happening in
Mm.
no, go on, you were going to say
Oh, it's
something.
just yeah, I was thinking like I should put it the other side of the coin on that too, though. Like these things make privacy and affordability and access much easier, but they do also make it quite a bit harder to manage and observe use, which
Mm,
is a quite important thing to think about, especially in an educational context. If you want to make sure a student isn't abusing the tool or having, very troublesome conversations or something like that, when everything's on device, you're not sending logs somewhere else
yeah.
unless you're storing them on device and then pulling them off a end user device somehow. So that would be shady as well.
Mm, mm.
Uh, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It
And
never is.
the conversation could fork in a different direction, but I'll just say something and then leave it and see where you take us. I'm glad to see a lot of this legislation keeping AI or really restricting AI until certain ages, because we
Yeah,
have to focus on critical thought and teaching mm, young people to make discrete decisions for themselves
yeah,
without assistance before they're able to really understand the difference between why they would or would not pick up something to accelerate something they're already good at.
yeah.
Uh,
Agree,
uh,
agree.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and that's where the research that I've been doing alongside Sam is that we're looking at what are those AI meta literacy skills that you need,
Mm.
so how can you still keep that cognitive struggle that's required to learn whilst, remaining safe, whilst ensuring that you're scaffolding the learning. And I think that's all incredibly important. And now we're no longer potentially waiting for big business to make
mm,
the right product for us. Now we've got people out there who are trying to make these products, who
mm,
are at our level, that have our needs and have our understandings, and potentially can create a product that will allow us to do that, because we can't get away from AI. We just
mm,
can't. But we do need to prepare the students sort of for that.
mm,
So what's happening in the market right now? What's going on out there? What are you seeing? What are you, kind of,
mm.
what's new and coming up?
Yeah, the things that catch my mind, or catch my eye the most recently are there are two at the moment. That recent article called "The Death of Conmigo," where we saw Khan Academy actually shutter some AI tutoring because it wasn't seeing the adoption and retention that they needed it to show,
Mm,
and that really stuck out to me. It makes me wonder, they're a venerable institution in the space, and if they
mm.
couldn't get it right, then that's a pretty strong signal that they're either missing some core pedagogy, if
Yes.
you think about it from one angle, or there's another market signal there that perhaps you know people just aren't ready or willing to adopt it yet. Maybe it needs to look differently in this early time in the technology as people are starting to learn how to use it. Like perhaps they were just too ambitious in what they were
Yeah.
pushing. And
Yeah.
they're ed tech, like there's a different narrative there where tech can try to really push features rather than actual really
Mm,
necessary tried and true experiences.
yeah.
So that it could be something like that, maybe not. It's no, we'll never really know.
Yeah.
But it was surprising to me, honestly, because I'm kind of a tech evangelist. Obviously, I like this
Of
stuff. I play
course.
with it all the
Yeah.
time. So it was a little disheartening and surprising, but you zoom in on those things to think more about them and understand them more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it was that Khan Academy one. Oh, and then like I think Duolingo also had
Yeah.
some recent retraction from the marketplace and a doubling down less on a few user and student facing offerings and more and the on the teacher side of things. So that's another interesting signal that's somewhat parallel to what was
Yeah.
happening with Khan Academy, and that
Yeah.
seeing those two things next to each other makes me focus on more certain different types of research in my feeds.
That's so important. I think what
Mm.
happened initially was that people weren't really aware or talking about the cognitive bypass that was happening. Just because a process is happening where there's a transaction of information, that doesn't necessarily mean that learning is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
They're two very, very different things. And what people sometimes mistake is activity versus learning. The
Hmm.
task itself is not learning. Learning
Mm,
happens when a cognitive struggle happens within the brain.
mm, mm, mm,
And then the second thing is that, there was many years that, John Hattie and lots of people were working on pedagogies of visible learning to make sure that cognitive struggle happened. The same has to happen with AI. There has to be a pedagogical structure that goes with it, or the cognitive
mm,
struggle will not happen. And I
mm,
think that's what went wrong, in my humble
mm,
opinion, and I'm not an
mm,
expert, but I think that's what went wrong is cognitive bypass was underestimated and the need for a pedagogical structure was underestimated.
mm, mm. I hope you're right.
Well, like I said, I'm no expert, but if I'm right,
Uh,
I'm right.
mm, mm,
Isaac, you
mm,
are an intelligent, capable human being. And what I
mm,
like to ask everybody is I like to say, if you could give our audience three tips, if you could
mm.
tell them three things, if you could give them three nuggets of your wisdom, what would that be?
Oh yeah, my wisdom in this space, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
think
Oh, well, you could
yeah.
go left field if you want to.
Oh no, let's stick here. Let's stick here. Yeah, like I think when you are so the space that I'm in now, right? I'm an AI incubation manager, I'm called. So that means I spend a lot of time thinking about how we can use AI in the education space, specifically in language education, to build better, more meaningful experiences. And the tips that I'll give there to use AI, this kind of the dragon eating its tail a bit, to use AI to build these things is there are three things that build a good product for me right now. And it's doubling down initially on research. And
Mm.
before using AI at all, and even before using AI to augment your research, it's
Yeah.
constant paying attention, reading, curating.
Mm.
I'm a LinkedIn archive, you name it, research paper reading junkie, and I'm constantly curating, collecting, and then using AI to pull out insights and curate them. I use Obsidian to build my knowledge base in different domains, and then
Wow.
I'll use Obsidian and a given product spec that somebody brings to me or that I'm interested in, and I'll draw on my research and that spec and create a really, really good PRD, product,
Mm.
a document that I will then feed to my AI agent harness of choice at the time to start to put that application together. But the quality of what you get in is as good as what you pull out is as good as what you put in,
Yeah.
and the taking like looking at the way that my Obsidian space evolves as my research consumption changes, moves around, grows, shrinks, is pretty fascinating. And the way that you use that as a way to just kind of put more wind in the sail of an idea that you have as it comes by
Yes.
is so much fun.
So don't take things
Uh,
on face value.
yeah, yeah. And then the other thing I'll say, and alongside that is like research and a good spec are key, but then use a method, I'll just leave it there, that manages your memory while you build. So your memory across building sessions over time,
Yeah.
so that it starts to memorize, so that the AI harness that you use starts to understand how you work.
Yes.
So when it starts to see that you've done certain patterns more over time, it will help you be better and sharper at those patterns by remembering how to replicate them. That the more you do this over a longer period of time, the more you start to really rely on and appreciate that because you move so fast now. You do so much in a day, in a
Yes.
morning, even you can't possibly keep up with how much is coming by and going.
Yeah.
So it's fun to actually go in and prune those memories sometimes too. If you know, like, okay, I've now moved well beyond this type of development, or this tool has been like is about to be retired by AWS, so I should stop using it. So you just go in and clean all that out of your memory. Uh, and so things like that are really clutch to doing this stuff well. And yeah, I'll leave that there. There we go. Research specs memory.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. So, in other words, don't be cheap. Have the paid version of something because it
Mm.
because it helps you, and then organize your files, review your files.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
make sure. I couldn't agree more. I think there's been some absolute golden nuggets, and there's been some really deep concepts that have probably made people go, "What?" But that's the whole idea. Isaac, thanks for coming on. I really hope that people out there have just had their minds blown a little bit and are thinking, what on earth? But, let me think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, what we're going to ask is if you've got any links or any information that you want to share out there with our audience, please send it to me. I'll put it in the show notes below
Mhm.
and people can refer back. And I'll put your LinkedIn link as well. And then we can kind of just keep the conversation going.
Cool. Thank you, Don.
Beautiful. Okay, should we say goodbye to our audience out there then, Isaac?
All right. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. See you next episode.